Good morning, and welcome to K2's Road to Excellence with Power BI, Part 20, and our partners Intuit Canada. This is a very special webinar, as I will indicate to you in a moment. Of course, I'm Alan Salmon, and my role today is just to do the admin work. So let's start with standard stuff. Marilyn Benninger is backing me up today, and she is your go-to person for technical issues and questions. And you do that through the chat window. Again, we will send you the recording in about 10 days, and keep in mind that we are currently buried in post-tour work because the Accounting Technology Seminar Series ended last Saturday. But you will get the recording, you will get the teaching notes, and the questions. What Marilyn does is takes all your questions at the end of the seminar, and in this case, she will send them to Jeffrey and Ward. They will answer them, and they will be in your package. And at the end, and I will remind you, please complete the exit survey. So, what's special about today? Also, in the package that you will get your CPD certificate. However, you have to earn that. 4 times today, there will be a polling question, usually a multiple choice, usually 4 questions, and you don't have to get the answer right. What you do have to do is select one of the questions and click on Submit. That timestamps your file, and we know that you were paying attention. If you're recorded as answering at least 3 of the 4 polling questions, you will get a CPD certificate for 1 verifiable hour. If you don't, it'll be 1 non-verifiable hour. Now, what's special about today? 2 things. One, the topic is a Microsoft tool called BI Desktop. And the other is, for the first time, you're not going to hear me, but you're going to hear my partner, Ward Blatch. And he's been working with BI Desktop for probably years now, and he's going to really wow you today. So, Marilyn, can you hand things off to Ward, please?
Good day, everybody. Very excited to be here today to talk to you about Power BI and Excel. Got a few little slides to go through, and then we'll get ourselves into preparing a dashboard using Power BI. Alan told you a little bit about me. I love to go canoeing. This is a shot I took 1st of October there, paddling the St. Croix. That's the river that is the boundary between New Brunswick and Canada and the United States. It was a nice little paddle. Beautiful fall weather at the time. So let's get ourselves started in right away. What is the purpose behind moving to this concept of business intelligence? Well, the big objective, of course, is to make it more timely, our reporting process. And that means that we're going to have to automate those repetitive reports that we currently may spend significant time preparing. And that will give us the ability then to more quickly identify trends and opportunities within our data sets, and in some cases help to motivate the team members and encourage better teamwork. I know for us in K2, one of our dashboards shows how you're doing in regards to your daily expense average, and it's actually been very helpful in encouraging people to be a little more conscious of their spending habits and their travel expense claims. And all it was is a simple little dashboard that we have created to do that. The leaders today in business intelligence, this is Gartner's report from back in February 2018 of this year, puts Microsoft, Tableau, and Qlik all in that magic quadrant, that top quadrant of both the visionary and ability to execute. I would encourage, if you're not interested in the Power BI solution, that you do look at both Tableau and Qlik. Both of them offer very, very compelling services. The advantage the Microsoft solution has is that it's got a lot in common with our Excel that we use. And in fact, Excel itself is the de facto BI tool most organizations are using today. And it does have a lot of services and feature sets within it that make it very compelling. Open database connectivity, pivot tables and pivot charts, which I believe Alan has covered off in previous sessions, and tables and sorting and filtering and charting and graphing. All of these components do allow us to create dashboards and distribute them, create those business intelligence reporting that we want to have in our organization. There are, however, one major limitation in this, and that is on sharing and distributing of the dashboards and how long it takes to get those updated and distributed in your own organization. And that brings me to my very first polling question, which I need to press launch for you guys to see. And what we're looking for here is how you currently distribute reports, either in your own organizations or to your clients. And just to get an idea of where people are currently in this process. I find it interesting, a few of you are saying other not applicable, which means that you don't do any reporting at all because, or maybe have some secret way of distributing it that I should be aware of. We're just going to come up to 90% here in a second, and once we do, I'll give you a short countdown to give you time to get that final vote in. And that's going to be in just a couple of seconds here. All right, I'm going to close the poll now. And 3, 2, 1, close. I'm going to share those results with you. Wow. Email, the most popular way to distribute the reports. Not a surprise at all. That means most of you are doing it via PDF, and you probably feel that the pace of those reports is adequate. So let's talk about Power BI and perhaps what it can do to help make it a little bit easier. Power BI Desktop and PowerBI.com are the solutions from Microsoft, as I indicated. They range in price from free to a monthly subscription. I'll give you the price on that in just a minute. The big thing about it, like I've already mentioned, is the similarity it has to Excel. In fact, the querying that's done in Power BI and the tools used to do that and the query editor, those are actually the same as in Excel Professional Plus. So there's very easy transition from one to the other. The big advantage, of course, it has is we can distribute these via web, and that means that you can be on any device that has a web browser, which I assume also means you're connected to the internet, and be able to get access to your reports really from anywhere at any time. The free version for most small shops, personal use only, perfectly adequate. The paid version is $12.20 per month per user, and that is required to share and collaborate on the reports. I have noticed a number of offices, they buy a license per user based on access requirements. So a license for the sales department, a license for the executive group, etc. You do need to have a domain-based email that's a corporate. So no Gmail or Outlook.com or Yahoo or others are allowed within this service. You do not have to have an Office 365 subscription, and you do not have to have Excel. So for many people that are on older versions of Excel, say Excel 2010, this is a great way for you to get those Power Query tools, which aren't really available in most versions of Excel 2010, and make them available to you today using the simple free Power BI desktop application. Power BI Desktop is completely free. It is a download. It's available in both 32 and 64-bit versions of the application. If you have larger data sets, several million items in a data set, I would suggest you look at the 64-bit version. The performance on that is a bit better. As I mentioned, does not require Excel at all to be able to work. We can use local data or cloud-based data, so today we'll be using local data. I'm actually going to use an Excel file as our data source. And the file itself that Power BI Desktop creates is a PBIX file. So you can use that PBIX file as the method of distributing the reports within your organization. Or you can publish for consumption onto powerbi.com. And last but not least, there are mobile apps available for both Windows, iOS devices, and for Android devices. And the advantage that these have, of course, is that it makes it very easy for a person to connect into their office, get the reports that they're allowed to see, and be able to interact with them. So as you can see in the slide here, there's somebody drew a happy face and marked off a great point. So the ability to do markups and filters is all possible on your mobile devices. All right, that's enough talking about it. Let's get in and actually create a report. So I'm going to get rid of this by bringing in two concepts. First, where am I going to get my data from? I'm actually just going to use an Excel file to do this. So it's just an Excel file on my local computer. There's nothing really magical about it. I've already installed the Power BI desktop app. It is available at powerbi.microsoft.com. But if you're on Windows 10, I would recommend that you go to the store and pick it up. The advantage of you getting it at the store is that it will automatically update. And this application, it came out in July 2015, has had a significant update every month since then. So if you do have Windows 10, this, as you can see, I've installed it. This product is installed down here in the corner. If you do it this way, you then don't have to, every time you open up Power BI and there's a new one, go through the process of having to re-download it. The store will handle all of that for you in the background automatically, and does save significant time and frustrations every time you go to work on it. It gives you that message, it seemed like at one point. So we're going to open up the Power BI desktop app and get ourselves started. I'll open up a blank one. So this is just a blank. This is what it looks like when it opens. I would encourage you to take a few minutes the first time in here. These videos that they have links to, they're very good. And they have excellent tutorials available as well. And the links to those are down on this splash screen. If you don't want to see it anymore, there is a check mark here to close that splash screen. So we're going to start out with a brand new one. So I'm going to say get data. And it'll just take a sec to bring up the get data screen, which should show up here. Here we are. These are the data types. So Excel and text files, which we're familiar with. We can also get a series of files. For example, if you do a daily or weekly or monthly export out of your accounting system and put those into a folder, we can take all of the files in a folder and combine them together using this service. Numerous databases, including Access and SQL, Amazon Redshift, a bunch of Azure stuff, more Power BI stuff, Dynamics, Salesforce, Google Analytics, GitHub and Facebook and MailChimp are also in here, and a number of betas such as QuickBooks Online, Spark, and Stripe. And if you continue going down, there's the web. So you can grab data off of a website to bring into your reports. And the one I really want to point out is ODBC. And that is the driver that you would get from your accounting program vendor that would allow you to connect directly to your accounting data. So that's in here as well. So I'm just going to scroll back up to the top here. I am going to pick Excel and say connect. It's then going to ask you what file you want to use. It's gone to the file folder automatically that I have been using. So I'm just going to pick data for Power BI. This data file we will be including in the package in the download link that we will provide you. So you'll have access to the exact same data here. I'm going to say open. What it's going to show us once it makes the connection to the file is it'll show us two things within the file itself. It'll show us the tables in the file, the Excel tables in the file, and the sheets within the file. We're going to take in the tables, and that is the preferred way to have your data in Excel in a table. And the reason for that is it will only bring in the table and not extra lines that you may have accidentally created on a sheet. It's very easy to have extra lines or rows in a sheet, not intending to do it, but it just happens. So I've now got my table selected. In this example, we're going to go with the first 7 items here. I'm going to say load. It's going to take a moment for it to bring in that data. So you can see it's in the process there of bringing it in. And the reason for that is our sales that we're bringing in, there's 695,000 sales records that it's bringing in. So it takes a moment or two for it to complete that process. It should be finished here in another minute or so. This also highlights the fact that this can be multiple data sources that we can use for a single report or dashboard that we're creating within Power BI. So as you can see, I've brought in these multiple components, 7 different tables. That could be 7 different tables from 7 different files if that's the way your data had been configured. Just another minute or so here, bring that stuff in. While it's doing that, let's pop over and have a look at the presentation again. So I'm in the process now of bringing the data in. This slide deck will also be provided to you with the link, and all of the instructions are very clear within here and what we're going to do. So the data comes in first, and then the next thing we need to do once the data comes in is to make sure that each table has a relationship with the other tables. So that when I, for example, want to look at sales based on channel, I need to have a relationship between the sales table and the channel table. And Excel does an excellent job of putting these together, as does Power BI. We'll see that in a moment. But those relationships must exist. Otherwise, Power BI won't know how to match a sales transaction to a category or a channel or a subcategory or a date. Once the relationships are put in place, then they'll be able to see the different components. So that should be finished now, and in fact, it has completed. And we are looking at, for the first time, our full Power BI desktop. Up here on the left-hand side, we see report. That's the screen we're looking at now. What I'd like to point out is that there is possible, down in the corner here, it is possible to have multiple pages within this report. Below that on the left is the icon that will let me go and look at the data itself. Depending on the size of the data, not all of it will be here. Oftentimes it's just a preview so that you can see what is in each of the columns. And the third icon on the left there, that's where I open up to see the relationships within the data set. And as you can see, everybody's got a relationship in here. There's my dim product. You can see the connections. That's these lines between each of them, except for poor old dim date over here. And why is it called dim date? Well, you'll notice it's called dim date, dim channel, dim promotion, dim product, etc., and fact sales. This is common terminology that we see within databases. Dim stands for a dimension, or the way that we can slice and dice our facts. And our facts that we have in this case are sales. So fact sales. Now, since dates, the date table is not got any relationship in any way to fact sales, it is not possible for us to group our data and look at it by date. So what we need to do is find the thing that's in common between the two of them. And the thing that's common is date key. I know you're thinking, well, they both say date key, why didn't it make that connection? It's pretty fussy. Date key here is a lowercase k, and date key here is an uppercase. And this just highlights one important thing. You do not have to have the same headers for the data in a column, but the data within the column, the data itself needs to be the same. So the date key and date key are the same. I just got to drop date key from one to the other, and it will then create a relationship between them. So now I have a relationship, and I can look at my fact sales by any of these other dimensions that I have. So let's pop up and do our first little report. Now, depending on how you want to approach this, some people will just start dropping in stuff. Other people like to pick the type of report they're going to do, or the visualization as they refer to here. And that's what's up here in this section of our data. These are our visualizations. So we're going to pick a tree map to start with. And that just puts an empty tree map visualization on the screen. Now it just needs some data. So for the first one, let's put in sales amount and look at that by channel name. So sales are going to be under facts sales. I'm going to scroll down here and find sales amount. There it is. I'm just going to check it. And as you can see, we only have one sales amount thing. It's not being divided in any way at all. So the tree map is not very informative at this point. But we're going to add in now, we're going to add in the channel name. So let's go to the channel, dim channel table, and add the channel name. That's it. We've created our first visualization. There is the allocation of our sales by different channels: store, online, reseller, and catalog. Hovering over them will give you the exact amount. So that's our first visualization we're going to do. The next one we're going to do is a simple donut. So I'm just going to click on blank space over here, somewhere in my canvas. Click on donut as my visualization. And for the donut, yes, we'll do fact sales again. So we'll add that, find sales amount, click on it. And we'll cut that up based on product category. So let's go find our product category. And we're looking for product category name, which I believe is the bottom one here. There we have it. So there's two little charts made for us. That didn't take long. Let's add a couple more, and then we'll talk about how it's published. So the next one, we're going to do another fact sales one. This time we're going to do it in the form of a cluster bar chart. So find cluster bar chart over here in my visualizations, select it. And yes, we're going to do sales amount, of course, as our component. And we're going to cut that up by dim product subcategory. And we're going to find the dim product subcategory name, which I believe is also the last one here. And there are my sales all done up. Now, we don't have time today to mess around to make this look pretty, but these are fully customizable. Change the colors, change the look, change the size, all of those things that you'd like to do are all possible. And that's done right here under the paint roller. I'm going to add one more, and then we'll talk about publishing and sharing out the data. So click in a blank space again. This time we're going to go with our typical old run-of-the-mill cluster column chart. So let's go find cluster column charts in our visualizations up here. There it is right there. We'll add that. Yeah, we're going to do sales amount again. And we want to look at this. Let's go look at this by our dates. And this date table is really nice because it breaks up the dates by physical quarters as well as calendar quarters, calendar years, etc. And it makes it very easy for us to slice and dice our data exactly the way we would like it to show up. So let's go physical quarter label. And we'll just drag that out. All my data in this sample is for a single year. And we'll resize that down. And that's it. We could spend an hour or two making it look pretty, but the reality is we've got our first report done. So what makes this faster? Well, two things. First of all, if I go to Home and click on Refresh, it'll go back to the data sources, whatever they may be, and it will update these reports based on a refresh of the data. And once that's done, I can publish it out to the Power BI website. And that means that people will be able to then access it through the website or through one of the mobile apps. If we look at, I'm just going to cheat here a little bit. I'm not going to publish because it does take a few minutes for it to upload all of that data. I'm just going to minimize this. And what we'll do is we'll pop over and have a look at it in a web browser. So here we are in the Power BI website. I've logged in with my credentials. As you can see, I have a number of different workspaces. The one we're dealing with is the one in class here, and this is that report. What I did was I took the separate modules and just clipped them in here. As you can see, it's interactive. As I point to each of the data points, it shows me what those data points represent. If you don't want to do one screen or item at a time, you can publish the whole report that we published up to the site. That's the whole thing that we published up, available here as well. And here, as well as in the Power BI desktop app, it's interactive. So if I click on reseller, for example, it'll change all of the rest of the items on that screen to represent just reseller. If you want to see just online, there's just online. And you can see that the visualizations are updating to reflect that change. I also mentioned that we can also publish this out to phones and mobile devices. And when you do that, you can change from web view to phone view here, because this website, as I'm logged into it as the owner of this dashboard, I am able to do everything I did on the desktop. I can do it here in the web browser. So I haven't mentioned that part yet, but this desktop app is only available on Windows. So if you're a Mac user, you don't have to install anything. You can just go to powerbi.com, sign yourself up, and all of the stuff that we just did, you can do right here. Down at the bottom here in the left-hand corner, you can see the Get Data button. So here's my phone layout. These are the visualizations that I have in this current report that I haven't added here, but we just take and drag and drop them over to lay it out the way we'd like to have it on the phone. Okay, so my time's just about up. I want to show one more thing, and that is, I know you've spent a lot of time creating reports, and I'm just sitting here telling you to change all of that. And now I want you to go and put it up on the web. Well, guess what? Here I am in Excel. And what I'm going to do is I've added the Power BI add-in. And I can pin this. I can go and manage it later so that I can upload items as need be. So I've got this in class here. Oh, I guess I don't have that particular one up. So let's go to Power BI. We'll pin this. It'll ask us where. I'll say in class, existing dashboard, mini web. I'll say okay. It's now pinned to the web. And to show you that, we'll go back to the website. And we'll go back to web view. And we'll scroll down here. And there's that report. I've now done it twice, but there's that report. This is an image. It's not interactive, but all of those reports that you've already prepared in Excel with this add-on that's available for 2013 and subsequent, you can use to publish up to Power BI, and anybody that you give permission to can log in and look at these reports. So it really simplifies the ability to be able to go in and update components and your reports. So I'm going to ask you one more polling question. I just have to go find it. My question is quite simple. Will you be trying Power BI before the end of the year? And yeah, it is November, so I know it's fairly close. So we've got quite a few people saying yes to that, which is great to see. A few people would like additional training, which I can understand. It is a very exciting new product, and training is one of those things that's never ending. I'm going to close the poll off now in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We'll close the poll off now, and I'll share the results with you. So very, very, very nice to see. 20% of you are not going to be moving into it, but that means that 80% are, which is great, great to see. Very good indeed. Just for your information, K2 does have currently a series of courses on Power BI webinars. If you're interested, that's at shop.k2e.ca, and just search for Power BI to have a look at that. I will look forward to answering any questions you may have.
Hi, Marilyn, and thank you.
Perfect. You have the comm.
Great. Thank you so much, Alan, so much, Ward and Marilyn. It's a great opportunity to be here today, as usual, to share ProFile. What I'll be talking about today is how to make the most of ProFile. ProFile is, of course, a professional tax software that a lot of our users love to use, and I'll show you why our users do love the product. You can see my screen here, making the most of ProFile. Just a little introduction, just a quick question here. Most of tax preparers do spend a lot of their time, and I've asked through live sessions, how does a preparer spend their time? And most of them would say they spend it on either chasing data, or they're trying to put together retrieve the slips from CRA, entering and researching the data, making sure that it's accurate, and also being able to figure out whether that data is, if they're able to use that data. They basically want to be able to save time and make sure that the return is accurate. For the accountants, most of them will spend time on year-end processes, like getting the balance sheet together and making sure that it does balance, and then taking that information and applying it to a T2 corporate return, or if they do self-employment, they want to take that data into a tax return. So that's where most of the time is spent. Canada has, ProFile itself has been deemed as Canada's #1 pro tax software, and I'll explain some of the features that give us that title. I think before I start the top 10 reasons customers love ProFile, maybe Marilyn, we can do that first poll.
Great idea, Jeffrey.
Thank you.
So folks, you're seeing a blue box on your screen. This is our third of 4 today. We're asking, with your current tax software, what's your favorite feature? Is it the CRA import? Could be data management, client collaboration, possibly batch filing. You can choose all of those, or maybe that's just not one of the choices for you today. We really appreciate your participation. We wait until we see at least 85%, and we're nearly there. Thanks very much. I'm going to count you down now before I close the poll from 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. I'll be closing the poll now and sharing those results. Do you see the results, Jeffrey? He's a little bit. Jeffrey, you've muted yourself. We see that the favorite feature of our participants is 37% CRA import, followed closely at data management, 13%, client collaboration tools, and 55% of the folks today don't see any of their favorite features there. Jeffrey, I'm going to need you to unmute yourself and you'll be back on track.
There we go. Clicked a few times, but it didn't unmute. Great. Thank you so much for that, Marilyn. So let's get into the top 10 reasons why customers love ProFile. A quick stat here. CRA stats, 60 million returns were e-filed, and about 5 million plus was e-filed through ProFile. So we see that there's a great amount of users that do use our product to e-file returns. The first reason is the ability to create prior year returns. Within ProFile, you're able to go back to 1997 when it comes to T1, TP1 files for T1s. For T2s, it's about 1996 year-end start, and then with the T3s or FX, you can go as far as 1997. Now, is that an additional cost to you? There isn't additional cost to you. You purchase the product this year, and that feature is available to you. So if you have a client that comes in and says, I haven't been doing my taxes for 10 years, then you're able to do that with our product. And there's a drop down for it, show you that you can go as far as 1997 for T1s, and for TP1s, 1999. The second reason is the ability to take a file, whether it's from CanTax or Tax Prep, TurboTax, also DTMax, if you have files from your clients and you're working with another product from last year and you decide to purchase ProFile for this year, you can carry forward those files into the software. So CanTax, Tax Prep, TurboTax, and DTMax are the software that you can do it with. People have asked us if there are other softwares that we can import in. As we move forward and there's a higher demand for it, we will implement it within the software. We've worked with visual tax customers. If you have a few files, we can definitely work with you on those. One of the reasons why people love using a tax preparation software, and it makes it a lot easier for them to create tax returns, is a simplified data entry. Now, a couple of years ago, CRA had introduced the data import, or AFR, autofill return, and you're able to take the information that's been sent to CRA and import it right into the software. A couple of things that it created is accuracy of the information, but sometimes it also created a way of making sure that you had all the information. Now it's still in its infancy stage, so you still have to go through your extra processes to make sure that you have everything, but it does help with CRA data import, with a carry forward, and with retrieving all the information via a engagement letter or a checklist to make sure that you have all your information and you've entered everything possible for that tax return. And it's pretty simple to use within our software. You just go to the File menu, and with the return open, you can select Data Import. Another reason ProFile is a top product being used by tax preparers is our powerful auditor. It will always check for and flag for any errors, any omissions that you may be missing, any dates that may be incorrect, any notices, so any suggestions that it would give you. And It also checks the imported data, whether you've doubled up on the data or you've already inputted the data, and when you do the data import, it will say, would you have this information in already? Do you want to import that information? So it checks over those things to make sure that you have an accurate return. The next is the Giphy import, which enables you to take the Giphy from either from Caseware, or if you have another bookkeeping software that you can export your Giphy, you can take that Giphy and then import it into ProFile. Now, it works seamlessly with QBOA if you work with QuickBooks Online Accountant. All you have to do is just go to export your working papers or work papers, and then you can use the option under the file menu within ProFile to do a QBOA import. And you can also do a QuickBooks desktop import. So with QuickBooks open on your desktop and ProFile being opened on your desktop, you can do the import of the Giphy data. This one is a favorite of mine because I've dealt with customers that have lost files, and what had happened is they would so they would do the backup. They would lose a file and they would be able to retrieve the file from cloud backup. So we have a cloud server that if you switch on the cloud feature where it'll back up a file to our server through Profile Review, you'll be able to retrieve that file from the cloud server. Okay, so really good feature. I hate to see anyone lose a file and not be able to restore it. So this feature really is a great feature to enable within our software. Another reason is being able to refile or express NOA. So from T1s, in the past, you'd have to do a T1 adjustment, and moving forward, you can now just refile the return. It's pretty easy. You would just name the file as a refile file separate from the original, and then fill in the T1 refile request that it's an amended return, put the date in, and then you'll be able to refile the return as if you're e-filing it for another time. And Express NOA enables you to get a quick notice of assessment of the return through the CRA portal. Flexible licensing is an option that we've applied because it's been in great demand that people have a budget when it comes to purchasing the product, and they don't want to be able to purchase too many licenses. They may have 3 computers in their office, and they want to be able to move from computer to computer without purchasing additional licenses. With flexible licensing, you can take one license and move from multiple computers within your office. You can even set up flexible licensing so that when you close Profile on your office computer, you'll be able to go home and use a laptop or another computer at home where you have Profile installed, and you can use that same license that you've purchased. So you just have to make sure that you've activated flexible licensing on your systems when you install it, and you'll be able to go from computer to computer. If you're looking for more information, just reach out to us and we can explain further on how to use that feature. Hub and Link is a data management tool that we've introduced in the last year or two. And Hub is a data management tool that enables you to access your client's file pretty easily. It also enables you to do CRA import. So you can import data into a client's return through Hub. You can also open the file up. It only goes as far as 2015 at the moment, and T2 is also available within Hub. For Link, it's a great tool to use. It's an online tool. It's an online portal that sits on the cloud and enables you to collaborate with your clients. For example, if you want to send an engagement letter or a checklist to your client, you can do that through Link, and they can send you the information that they have for this year, whether it's slips, whether it's expense reports or expense receipts, and they can upload that to Link. And from Link, you can download it into your system to start a return or input the information into a return for your client. And the last reason is our support. We have a phone, we have email, we have chat. I would recommend, if you are looking for a more complex answer to a question, phone and chat is a great avenue to get your answers. Emails may take a little bit longer, 24 to 48 hours. If you're looking for an answer right away, I wouldn't suggest that. But if you're looking for just a quick answer to a question, then it's not priority, you can use email. In the busy season, we extend our hours to 9 to 8 o'clock Eastern time from Monday to Friday, and then Saturdays we have 12 to 5 o'clock Eastern time, just to accommodate that busy season, because sometimes you'll have questions over the weekend and we want to be available to you. So what's new for ProFile in this coming year? Basically, there isn't too many things. What we've done is we've taken the time to improve the product. It is based on an old language. We wrote the product from 1997 moving forward. So we had to make some changes when it came to the language. So we wanted to make it a lot more stable. But a lot of the new things are happening are on the CRA side. Things like being able to file your RC59 or the cancellation of an authorization through the RC59X. Being able to autofill or do CRA data import for T2's is another feature that's available. And you can do that through the T2 module. Data import, of course, I just mentioned. ProFile 20 is a product for those who may be sunsetting their organization or their business, and they only deal with particular clients, less than 20 clients in a year. So you may want to consider ProFile 20. Or if you're starting off and you're not sure if you're going to have more than 20 clients, you can use ProFile 20 or purchase ProFile 20 from us. So that's available online, or you can purchase it through a sales agent. Through our T1s, we have a post-bankruptcy return that you can create from the bankruptcy form. This is something that people have been asking. I've created my pre-bankruptcy return, filling in my form with all my data. Why can't I just take this data and create a post-bankruptcy return? You can now do that through that bankruptcy form. All you have to do is start with the pre-bankruptcy return, fill in the data, fill in the date, right-click the form, and then you'll have an option to create a return for post-bankruptcy. The last one is customization of the foreign exchange rate. Of course, our exchange rate are based on the Bank of Canada rates. Most of them that are used by our clients are already applied within the form, but there will be ones that you may not use commonly, and you want to use that rate or customize that rate within the software, and you can do that with the FX worksheet within the T1. there's a section where you can fill in the country, put in the rate, percentage rate, and you'll be able to use that within your return for foreign exchange. So let's get back to that percentage. Tax preparation, most of the time you have individuals chasing the data, and so some of the solutions that have come across in the last few years is CRA data import, or within the software you can carry forward your files from a prior year. You have management tools or collaboration tools with ProFile like Link, where you're able to retrieve that information from your client, whether it's a slip or expense report or an expense receipt, and you'll have it as a digital copy available to you. And then you have accountants who spend most of their time on year-end processes, and with the Giphy import, you're able to take that balance sheet and import it right into the software for tax preparation. So this is the inefficient year-end process. You have an accounting software, and you have your professional tax prep software, and the workflow. You have questions from your customers. You have to use accounting tools to manage that data. Then you have your document management, the slips and the expense, and being able to figure out, do you have all your data? So now with as we move forward, our promise and our vision is being able to take that information from QuickBooks and transition it with a great flow and save you time on using our integrated Intuit ecosystem. So being able to go from books to tax, and that's one thing with QBOA, is the ability to go from QuickBooks Online and create a T2 using ProTax. That is another feature that we've introduced this year. It was in beta, now it is in the stage of being available to everyone to use. So you can go from your QuickBooks Online to ProTax, and it's a built-in feature within QBOA. You don't have to have ProFile installed if you just want to do simple T2 returns. It's now available for those who use QBOA. So now, as our vision has been come into fruition, having QuickBooks and ProFile work better together. And that's it for me. Maybe we can do that last poll, Marilyn, and I appreciate everyone's time today.
Thanks, Jeffrey. You've had a number of great questions that everyone will receive in about 10 days when we send out the recording. So I'm just going to launch the last poll, and it has to do with support. When you reach out to a software vendor, what kind of support do you prefer? Is it phone, maybe chat, possibly email? Maybe you're read article or watch YouTube video, or maybe none of the above, or not applicable to you. A nice easy question. We're already at 85%. Thank you so much. I'm going to be counting you down from 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And let's just close this poll and see those results. Well, Jeffrey, it's 64% for phoning, 45% for chat, emails 31, articles is 31, and just 4% of folks on the call today. Don't see a channel there. Yeah, it is great. Thanks so much for your time today, Jeffrey.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
I'm going to move over to Alan. Are you there to wrap us up today, Alan?
I certainly am. So, folks, we've come to the end of today's webinar. I want to thank all of you for tuning in. Jeffrey, great presentation. Ward, as usual, you awed me, AWED. And if you want to get additional information, as Ward said, you'll find it at our K2E website. So I look forward to seeing some of you next week when I'm doing a special webinar on my assessment practice, and the week after, we'll be back to Excel. Have a great day, and it's a wrap.